A flesh-eating parasite known as the New World Screwworm has reached Texas, prompting the United States Equestrian Federation to issue guidance to horse owners across the country. While many equestrians have never encountered this parasite before, veterinarians and animal health officials are taking the threat extremely seriously. Because New World Screwworm larvae feed on living tissue and can cause devastating injuries if infestations are not detected and treated quickly. The recent confirmation of a New World Screwworm case in a calf in Texas immediately triggered concern among veterinarians, livestock producers, and federal animal health officials. It also prompted Texas authorities to establish quarantine measures in affected areas and led the USEF to warn horse owners about the importance of wound monitoring and early detection. For many horse owners, this may sound like a problem that belongs to the cattle industry. However, the reality is that any horse with an open wound could potentially become vulnerable if the parasite becomes established in an area. That is why equestrian organizations are paying such close attention to the situation. Imagine walking into your barn one morning and noticing a small scrape on your horse's leg. At first, it doesn't seem unusual. Horses pick up cuts and scratches all the time, and most heal without incident. Perhaps your horse caught itself on a fence during turnout or brushed against something while traveling. You clean the wound, apply some ointment, and expect it to heal normally. Several days later, however, something doesn't seem right. Instead of improving, the wound appears larger and more irritated. There is unusual drainage, swelling around the injury, and a foul odor that wasn't there before. What begins as a minor scrape has become something much more serious. This is the type of scenario animal health officials are trying to prevent. Unlike ordinary maggots, which feed on dead or decaying tissue, New World Screwworm larvae feed on living flesh. Adult female flies actively seek out open wounds on warm-blooded animals and deposit eggs around the edges of those injuries. Once the egg hatches, the larva burrows into healthy tissue and begins feeding. As they grow, the wound becomes larger and deeper, creating increasingly severe damage if the infestation is not identified and treated quickly. To understand why authorities are reacting so aggressively to a single case, it helps to loop back at history. For much of the 20th century, New World Screwworm was one of the most destructive livestock pests in the United States. Ranchers across the South battled infestations year after year, and the parasite caused enormous economic losses while inflicting tremendous suffering on infected animals. The eventual eradication of New World Screwworm remains one of the greatest achievements in veterinary medicine. Scientists developed a revolutionary strategy that involved releasing millions of sterile male flies into the environment. When wild females mated with those sterile males, no offspring were produced. Over time, the population collapsed, and the parasite was successfully eliminated from the United States. Because of that success, many people assumed New World Screwworm was a problem that belonged to history. However, animal health officials have spent years watching the parasite gradually move northward through parts of Central America and Mexico. As reports increase closer to the U.S. border, experts repeatedly warn that the threat could eventually return. The recent case in Texas has transformed that possibility into reality. Following confirmation of the infected calf, state and federal authorities moved quickly. Officials established a quarantine zone around the affected area in Zavala County, Texas, and movement restrictions were implemented for certain animals originating from parts of Zavala and neighboring Uvalde County. Investigators are now working to determine whether the case was isolated or whether additional infestations may exist in the region. For horse owners, those quarantines are significant because they highlight how seriously officials are treating the situation. The horse industry depends on movement. Horses travel constantly between competitions, breeding farms, training facilities, sales, and veterinary hospitals. If New World Screwworm were to become established and spread beyond the current quarantine zone, additional movement restrictions could affect many aspects of the equestrian industry. That possibility is one of the reasons the USEF moved so quickly to issue guidance. The Federation's recommendations focus on awareness and early intervention. Horse owners are being encouraged to closely monitor cuts, scrapes, surgical sites, and other open wounds, paying particular attention to injuries that are not healing normally. Wounds that develop excessive drainage, swelling, a foul odor, or unusual irritation should be evaluated immediately by a veterinarian. The USEF has also emphasized the importance of monitoring horses recovering from procedures such as castration and other surgeries, since those wounds can be particularly attractive to screwworm flies. In addition, horse owners are being encouraged to learn how to identify both the adult fly, which has distinctive orange eyes and metallic blue and green body, and the screw-shaped larvae that give the parasite its name. Because the larvae feed on living tissue, rapid diagnosis and treatment are critical. The sooner an infestation is identified, the greater the likelihood of presenting serious damage and stopping further spread. Fortunately, officials believe the tools that worked decades ago can still work today. Surveillance efforts have been expanded, sterile fly population is increasing, and state and federal agencies are coordinating their response in an effort to prevent the parasite from becoming established once again. While those efforts are encouraging, authorities stress that successful containment will also depend on horse owners, veterinarians, and livestock producers, recognizing potential cases quickly. The parasite was eradicated from the United States once before, through an enormous coordinated effort, and health officials believe it can be stopped again. However, that success will depend on maintaining awareness and responding rapidly whenever suspicious wounds are discovered. The New World Screwworm serves as a reminder that threats to horse health can emerge from unexpected places. A parasite that many believe had been eliminated from the United States is once again demanding attention from veterinarians, livestock producers, and horse owners alike. Whether the recent Texas case remains an isolated incident or marks the beginning of a larger challenge will depend on how quickly new cases are identified and contained. As officials continue monitoring the situation in Texas, horse owners across the country are being encouraged to stay informed and remain vigilant. The discovery of a single infected calf may not seem significant at first glance, but history has shown that New World Screwworm is a threat that is best confronted early on, before it has an opportunity to spread. The coming months will determine whether this remains an isolated incident or becomes a larger challenge for the American livestock and equestrian industries. Thank you so much for joining us, and remember, I am not AI. If you listen closely to my voice, you can hear that I'm fighting a cold.